Hello, this is the National Common Entrance Examination Paper A for Mathematics for the year 2018. Question 1 says, how many seconds are there in 8 minutes 12 seconds? So we know we have 8 minutes and then we have 12 seconds. 8 minutes should not be converted into seconds. That means we're going to multiply this by 60, and when you do so, you're going to get 480 seconds. You're adding that to 12 minutes and everything will give you 492 seconds. So the correct option here is option C. Question 2. Question 2 says, simplify open bracket 2 over 5 plus 2 over 7 close bracket. Now this letter here looks like X, but it actually is times. So I think this is times. Let me just change it to times. Times open bracket 1 minus 1 over 8. So if I'm going to solve this, I need to open up the brackets. I need to open up the bracket by solving what is inside the bracket. The first bracket says 2 over 5 plus 7 over, the first bracket says 2 over 5 plus 2 over 7, close the bracket, and then you're multiplying that by 1 whole minus 1/8. To add 2 over 5 and 2 over 7, just get the LCM. That'll be 35. 5 will go in 35 7 times. 7 times 2 give you 14. You're adding that to 7, we're going 35. 5 times 2 is 10. That is what you have for the first bracket. And then the second bracket, you have 1 minus 1/8. Well, if you have 1 minus 1/8, it's like saying you're having 8/8 minus 1/8. That will be 7/8. 7/8 will be left here. 7/8 will be left here. So on for this one, to open this bracket now, I have 14 plus 10. That will give me 24 over 35, and that'll be multiplied by 7 over 8. And when I reduce this to the lowest term, 8 will go here once, and 8 will go here, will go there 3 times. 7 will go here once, and 7 will go here 5 times. So your final answer there would be 3 over 5, 3/5, and that would be option D right there. Question 3. Question 3 says there are 750 students in a college. If 70% of them are girls, how many are boys? So if girls here are 70%, then the percentage of boys would be 100 minus 70%. And that will be 30%. So we can easily find 30% of the total number of students in the college to find the number of boys. So we do 30%, which is 30 over 100 times 750 over 1. So we cross out zeros, all zeros that cross out, and now we have 3 times 7, and 3 times 7 will give you 225. Let's even solve it. This is 75 times 3. So this is 15, carry 1. 3 times 7 is 21 plus 1, 22. So your answer is 225. Question 4. If you take a look at question 4, you would notice that this sign here can be a bit confusing. So I'm going to rewrite this number. I'm going to rewrite this question as the square root of 5 whole number 4 over 9. This is exactly what they mean. And anytime you have mixed numbers, is always proper and useful to, is always helpful to change the mixed number into an improper fraction. So with the square root sign still there, I'm going to change this from mixed number to improper fraction. So that'll be 9 times 5 giving me 45. 45 plus 4 will give me 49, and this should be over 9. So as a matter of fact, we can actually turn this to become square root of 49 over square root of 9. Essentially, this is what it is. So your answer will be, what is the square root of 49? It is 7. The square root of 9 is 3. So we're going to change this finally to a mixed number, because by the time you inspect the options, you see that they're all in mixed numbers. So 7 over 3 will then become 2 whole number 1 over 3. So that will be option B. Option B. Question 5. It says, in a village of people infected with HIV in 2001 were 100. Okay, fine. Now this question has a bit of typographical errors there. So we have, in a village of people, those infected with HIV in 2001 were 100. And then it went on to say that in 2004, 250 people were infected. Find the ratio of those infected in 2001 to those infected in 2004. So we're looking at the ratio of those infected in 2001 to those infected in 2004. In 2001, those that were infected were 100. And then in 2004, those that were infected were 250. So I'm going to write my 100 for 2001 and my 250 for 2004. So I will reduce this to the lowest. We're asked to find the ratio of those infected in 2001 to those infected in 2004. So these are the actual number of people who were affected in 2001 and 2004. So reducing this to the lowest term will give you the ratio. And here is 5 will go here 20 times. 5 will go here 50 times. We can now reduce the 10 will go here twice and 10 will go here 5 times. So the answer will be 2 is to 5. And the answer here is option B. Next question is question 6. Okay, it says the ratio of the length to breadth of a room is 7:5. Find the length of a room if the breadth is 10 meters. Here again, we have another typographical error. I'm assuming that this 9 was a mistake, so I'm blotting it out. So I'm going to read the question again. It says the ratio of the length to the breadth of a room is 7:5. Find the length of the room if the breadth is 10 meters. So let's take this ratio. You're looking for the ratio of the length to breadth, but it said is 7:5, and you're asked to find the length, which is this. Let's call that x, if the breadth is 10. If the breadth is 10. So what we'll do is just a quick inspection. 5 became 10 by doing times 2. And then of course, by the same proportion, 7 will become something else by multiplying it by 2. So it will be 14. So x is equal to 14 meters. So the answer here will be option C. Question 7 says, increase 80 by 10%. There are several ways of answering this particular question, but I'll just do one of several ways. So what I'm going to do is to find 10% of 80, and then I'd add the whatever I get onto 80 to get the increase on 80. Another way to do this is to add 80%. Another way to do this is to add 10% to 100%, and that will give you 110%. Then I can find 110% of 80, and that will directly give me the increase on 80. So whichever way is fine. So I'd rather go with 110%. So I add 100, increase 100% by 10, because 80 is the original value. It is represented by 100%. If you increase the 100% by 10, then what you're doing is you're getting 110%. So we'll now use that 110% of 80 to find the increase. So 110 over 100. 110 over 100 times 80 should give us the increase. So we have 0 cancels, 0 cancels, 0 here. So you have 11 times 8 will give you 88. 88. So the correct option there should be option D. We'll go to the next question there. Question 8. Question 8 says, Odiri bought 12 cartons of biscuits for 3,000 naira. And we're asked to find the cost of 7 cartons of biscuits. So we know that 12 cartons will be equivalent to 3,000 naira. 3,000 naira. This is proportion. So we're expecting that 7 cartons should not cost, as long as we're buying the same thing from the same shop at the same price, we'll be expecting the cost of 7 cartons to be less than 3,000 naira, because there's a drop from 12 cartons to 7 cartons. So what I do normally is I arrange these two of the same units to give me something. Since I'm expecting something less, I'll arrange this to give me a fraction that is less than 1, and I do that times 3,000. So from here I know that 12 can go here once, and 12 can go here 250 times. And when I multiply 7 by 250, I'm going to get 1750. So my answer here is D. So it will be 1,750, and it is consistent with my expectation. 12 cartons would cost, if 12 cartons cost 3,000 naira, 7 cartons should cost less. Question 9. It says reduce 36 over 100 to its lowest, to its lowest term. So I have 36 here, and I have 100 there. So to its lowest term should be 3.6 actually, and 3.6. This is 0.36. Sorry, not 3.6. But I'll just reduce it normally. Let's start with 2. 2 will go here how many times? 18 times. 2 will go here 50 times. 2 goes here 9 times. 2 goes in 50 25 times. So your answer here is expected to be 9 over 25, because nothing else can go here without a remainder, and therefore no whole number can go there without a remainder, and therefore okay, the option is not here, so this is supposed to be the correct answer, 9 over 25. So let's go to question 10. A man earns 5,000 naira for 10 days. How much? This is supposed to be how much. There's a lot of typographical error here. This is supposed to be how much should he earn in 14 days if working at the same rate. So we're looking for the amount that he's going to earn in 14 days. So expectations here are very, very important. I know that in 10 days, this man will earn 5,000 naira. Therefore, in 14 days, so this is where you have to, sometimes you may not readily see whether the question is direct proportion or is directly proportional or inversely proportional or indirectly proportional. Sometimes it's the expectation and the use of common sense that will help you to know what exactly you're supposed to do at this stage. At this stage, if we're talking about the same man who is working at the same rate, then in 14 days he should earn more. Because if you earned 5,000 in 10 days, then you should earn more money. So my expectation is for more, and because my expectation is more, I will arrange these two numbers to give me a fraction that would end up giving me something greater than 1. So I just do 14 divided by 10, and I do times 5,000. So anytime you're looking for something that is anytime you're expecting more, arrange the fractions to give you something greater than 1. If you're expecting less, arrange the fractions to give you something less than 1. That way you don't have to memorize whether you have to do cross multiplication or not, because it's not in all cases that cross multiplication will work. It doesn't work for indirect proportion. And then mind you, the fraction you're creating must be for numbers that have got the same units. They are the same, days versus days. So here I have this will cancel this, and then eventually you would have to do 14 times 500. So I can use mental strategy to do 1400 times 5. It's the same things, like saying 14 times 500. So this will give you 0 0 0 carry 2, 5 times 1, 5 plus 2, 7. So your answer here is 7,000 naira. So the option will be option C. Let's go to question 11. Question 11 says you should find the simple interest on 600 naira for 5 years at 8%. So here we have all the values that have been given. We have simple interest is what you're looking for, and the formula for this is PRT over 100. Actually, it means principal times rate times time all over 100. So on my principal there is 600. My principal is 600 naira. My time was given to be 5 years, and the rates was given to be 8%. So I can find my simple interest here. Simple interest would be 600 times 8 times time. Let me move a little. So times time, and time there is 5. Divide that by 100. You're going to get this cancels this. So we have 6 times 5 is 30. 30 times 8 is 240. So you have 240 as your simple interest. Your answer will be 240 naira, and the option is option C. The next question there is question 12. It says if 400 grams is to 1 kilogram, if 400 grams is to 1 kilogram, find the ratio in the simplest form. So before you can even do any of this, you must try to harmonize the unit. So this is 400 grams to 1 kilogram. These units are not the same, so we have to harmonize them. So I'd rather change kilogram into grams. So I have 400 grams is now equal to how many grams make 1 kilogram? It's going to be 1,000. Kilo means 1,000. So what we do is, when you see kilo, remember that you're supposed to multiply by 1,000. Then there's also milli. Milli is also another word that represents 1,000, but this time around it means you should divide by 1,000. So milli is 1,000th, is 1,000th of a whatever it is, a gram, a centimeter, whatever, a meter, and all the rest. So here we now know we're supposed to multiply this by 1,000, so we have 1,000 grams. So this will cancel out. The grams can easily now cancel out, and therefore we could also do the same thing to this. 2 will go in 4 twice, 2 will go in 10 5 times. So the ratio is supposed to be 2:5, and the option is option A. Question 13 says if 8 children ate a crate of egg in 12 days, how long will 6 children take to eat same crate of egg if they eat at the same rate? So this is also another proportion question where we'll have to apply our common sense. So the first statement there says that in 12 days 8 children ate a crate of egg. So I'm going to do 8 children ate a crate of egg in how many days? In 12 days. Therefore 6 children. Now here's where I need to apply common sense here. At this point here, I'm expecting what? What am I expecting? If there are 8 children, if it took 8 children 12 days to finish a crate of egg, 6 children. That means we've reduced the number of children, therefore we expect the crate of eggs or the crate of eggs to last longer. So I'm expecting more, and whenever you're expecting more, you're supposed to change these two numbers, or this is actually how I teach this. You're expected to change the two these two numbers here with children to give you something greater than 1. Since I'm expecting more, I would like to rearrange this to give me 8/6. This is actually greater than 1, and do that times 12, and you do 6 here 1, 6 here 2. 2 times 8 will give you 16, and that's why the answer for this is B. Next, simplify 2x minus x plus 4. So I'm simplifying it. When they ask you to simplify, what the examiner wants you to do is to ensure that every like term is not appearing more than once in a given sentence. So right now, these terms are all like terms, and they're all expressing themselves differently. We need to make them compact. We need to bring them all together and use one expression to represent all three. So, and that's what it means by simplify. So we have 2x minus x plus 4x. 2x minus x is 1x. 1x plus 4x is 5x. So your answer there is supposed to be C. Question 15 says convert 0.025. You have to convert this to decimal fraction. So 0.025, to convert this to decimal fraction, we have to change this to fraction. How do we change it to fraction? We know that this is going to be 1. The decimal point is usually seen as though it turns to 1, but no, that's not exactly what's happening. What's happening here is that all these other digits will turn to 0. So 0 turns to 0, 2 turns to 0, and 5 turns to 0. And then now we have ourselves a fraction which is 25 over 1,000. So we can do 25 here 1, 25 here 40. So your answer will be 1/40. That's what the answer here is supposed to be. But unfortunately, I don't think the answer is on this. It's not here. So answer will be 1/40 here. So we'll go on. Question 16. Question 16 says find the LCM of 12 and 16. The LCM of 12 and 16 is the lowest common multiple of 12 and 16, which means the lowest number that 12 and 16 can go in without any remainder. Okay, so we have 12, and this is a very simple one. Everybody knows how to do this one. So 2 will start this show. 2 in 12 will give you 6. 2 in 16 will give you 8. I can continue with 2 because I can still reduce this to 3 and this one to 4. 2 continues, remains 3, and this one is 2. 2 continues, remains 3, and this one is 1. So when we're using this method, any number that you're using to divide, if it cannot go exactly in the number in which it is dividing, you just drop down the number. Like in this case, 2 in 3, 2 can actually divide 3 without a remainder, so I dropped down the 3, and I did the same thing here. But this time around, 3 is what we can use here. So 3 will go in 3, 1, and then 1 is dropped down. So until you get 1 at the base here, you don't stop. So you have, for LCM, you don't stop until you get 1. All right, so in this we have 2 raised to the power of 4, or 2 times 2 times 2. So we have ourselves 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. So here is 16 times 3, and that will be equal to 48. So our answer here will be 48. That's option E. So the next number now says you should find the sum of the HCF and LCM of 8 and 12. Let's quickly find the HCF of 12 and 8 and 12. So LCM of 8 and 12, 8, 12. I could even start with 4 if I like, but it's okay to go, So we have 2 here, 4, 2 there, 6, 2 here is 2, 2 here, 3, 2 here is 1 and 3, then 3 here will give you 1 and 1. So what you have there now is 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 3, so you do 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 is 24. And then the HCF is what we should do next now. So let's quickly find the HCF of question of 8 and 2. So HCF of 8 and 2. We could still use the same method, but whenever we're using this division method to solve or to find HCF, you don't solve until you get to 1 and 1. You solve until you get to you can find a number that can go in both numbers at the same time. You need the highest common factor, and the factors are meant to be common, which means whatever numbers you're going to be using, like 2 here, should be able to go in 8 as well as 12. The same thing goes there. 2 can go in 4 as well as 3, as well as 6, sorry. But nothing can go here anymore that would, go in both numbers at the same time except 1. So that's where we stop. In HCF, we stop here. We don't necessarily get to 1 and 1. So our answer will be 2 times 2, which is 4. So what we do now is to find the sum of the two of them. So that will be 24 plus 4 will give you 28. So your answer will be 28. So let's go to question 18. Question 18 says, how many hours and minutes are there between 9:30 a.m. and 1:50 p.m.? Well, I'm assuming that these time frames were taken the same day. So I'm assuming that it's still in the same day, within the same day. So what we do here is to convert the 9:30 into 24-hour system, convert the 1:50 p.m. into 24-hour system. Right now they are in the 12-hour system, and I'm going to change that now. So 1:50 p.m. to change that into the 12-hour system, we have to add 12 to it. So because there is p.m. there, it means that's crossed 12 noon, and therefore we have to add 12 to 150. So this will be 12:00 plus 150, and that will give you 1350. This will give you 1350. Okay, so this time now is in the 24-hour system. How about 9:30 a.m.? Well, we already know that because this is 9:30 a.m. we will leave it the same way because it has not yet crossed 12 noon. So we'll just leave it there as 9:30 in 24-hour system. And then what we should do here now is to subtract, because we need to find the number of hours and minutes between 9:30 a.m. and 1:50. So we subtract. So 50 minus that will give you 20, and 13 minus 9 should be giving you 4. So what we have there is now 4 hours 20 minutes. The option there is option C. Let's go to the next question. The next question says, if x is equal to 4, y is equal to 1, and z is equal to 2, find the value of 2x plus y all over y plus x. So we have 2x plus y over y plus z. So this will become 2 times x. We were told that our x should be equal to 4. So we have x is equal to 4. We replace that with 4 because of this. We have this here, and then we have that as well. So let's substitute these values. So we have 2x, which is 2 times 4, plus y is equal to 1. That'll be plus 1 over y again, which is 1, plus z will be plus z is 2 plus 2. So the numerator here will reduce to 2 times 4 will give you 8 plus 1 will give you 9, and then the denominator will be 1 plus 2 to give you 3, and so your answer here will be equal to 3. So your option is option B, correct option. So we'll go ahead with the next one. That'll be question 20. Question 20 says you should find the value of x in the equation. So this is algebra. We're going to apply the concepts of algebra here. So we have 3x plus 1 is equal to x plus 9. What we do here, first of all, is to collect like terms. And when you collect like terms, you're bringing numbers that have got the same variables or the same letters together, and then you're taking the ones without letters or with different letters, you're putting them also together. So you could, either add them or subtract them. Eventually, my x would appear here as minus x, and this will be equal to my 9 was there on the right before, but I need to move plus 1 to go join it. And for me to eliminate plus 1 from the left hand side, I have to subtract it from the left and the right hand side. So I introduce minus 1 to both sides. That would eliminate it from the left, but then it will make it reappear on the right as minus 1. So eventually, we'll be having 3x minus x here to give you 2x, and this will be equal to 8. So now again, we have another problem, and the problem is that x is still not standing alone, and the reason is because 2 is multiplying it. Use the inverse of that relationship to eliminate the 2, and that's by dividing both sides by 2, which is actually the coefficient of x there. So when I do so, I'm going to be having 2 here 1, 2 here 1. So my answer is now equal to x equals 4. So x is equal to 4. That's option D. Let's go to question 21. Question 21 says, if 4x squared minus 3 is equal to 1, which of the following is a value of 1 minus 2x? So the plan for this question, to be able to solve this question, we need to understand the fact that we were already told that 4x squared minus 3 is equal to 1, which gives us the opportunity to be able to find the value of x. And once we find the value of x, we can substitute the value, that value of x, into this second expression. And once we do that, we should be able to evaluate that to get the real answer. So let's start with this one here. Let's start with 4x squared minus 3 is equal to 1. So we have 4x squared minus 3 is equal to 1. So here I know minus 3 is a problem. I need to take it out. So I have to add, because it's minus 3, the opposite of it, or the reverse or inverse of it, is plus. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And when I add 3 to both sides, this 3 will cancel out to become 0. And that 3 will appear here as 3, because I'm adding. I added 3 to both sides. That eliminated this minus 3, but then reappeared on the right as plus 3. Now I'm not through, because 4x squared here is now equal to 4, and here's a little problem, and that problem is I still have 4 multiplying x squared. So I would divide both sides by that coefficient of x squared, which is 4. So dividing this by 4, I have 4 here, 1, 4 there, 1, and then I have x squared now is equal to 4 divided by 4 is 1. So at this point in time, in order to find the value of x, the value of x normally should be the square root, because we have to take the square roots of both sides to eliminate this power. So the power is a square, and therefore the way to eliminate the square is to use square roots. If the power were to be a cube, we use cube roots to eliminate that. So by introducing square roots to both sides, you see from here that the square has been eliminated. So we now have x now is equal to the square root of 1. And when you think about this seriously or carefully, you know that your answer here is actually supposed to be plus or minus 1, because the meaning of square root is square root of a number, or a square root of a number such as 1 is what are the numbers, what is that number that you would multiply by itself to give you 1, to multiply by itself twice to give you, that's what square root is. Do you understand? So you have square root of 1 means a number that I'm going to multiply by itself twice to give me 1. Cube root, on the other hand, would be a number that you would multiply by itself 3 times to give you, the number in the cube root. Now, for this one, we know that plus 1 is a number, minus 1 is also a number. So I could rewrite this as plus 1 or minus 1. As a matter of fact, any of these numbers would multiply themselves to give you the square root of 1. So that's why these two numbers are valid numbers for this course. But then I know at this level, you'll be told to use positive square roots, and that's why we're going to focus on only plus 1 and not minus 1. So now we have the number to be plus 1. We can now come back here and use this plus 1 in this expression. So the expression is 1 minus 2x. Now that we have found x to be plus 1, we can introduce that x in there as plus 1, and then we have 1 minus 2 times 1 will give you 2. So your answer here is supposed to be minus 1. So your answer will be minus 1. So this is supposed to be the answer, but let's try the other case where if we had used minus 1 in place of plus 1, what would have happened? Let's look at it. So if I had used minus 1 in place of that, it would have been 1 minus 2x, where I replace this x here with minus 1. So I have 1 minus 2 times minus 1. In this case, we'll have 1 minus 2 times minus 1 will give you plus 2. And then 1 plus 2 will give you 3. And if you look at all the options there, there is no 3 there. So which means you're expected to use the positive square root of the value here. So that's why I used plus 1 in place of x. Question 22. They said if 2 is to 7 is expressed in the form, well, this is supposed to be form. This is supposed to be in the form 4 is to x. I'm assuming now, because this question also is it has a typographical error for this question 22. So I'm assuming that the question is saying if 2 is to 7 is expressed in the form 4 is to x, find the value of x. Okay, so having said that, it means that 2 is to 7 is now to be expressed in this form 4 is to x. So what I do is to see the initial ratio, how they transformed into the second or the final ratio. So 2 on this side changed to 4, and the only way that could have happened is to multiply that 2 by 2. Well, because this is a ratio, the ratios will always be of the same form, and therefore 7 also will be multiplied by 2 to give us what should be there, and that will be 14. So your answer is 14. The next is that question 23 says, what is the ratio of 12 minutes to hour? I think here they also mean they mean 1 hour to 1 hour. So if that is the case, then we can write 12 minutes is to 1 hour. I already told you that you cannot reduce this to its simplest form if you do not harmonize these units. So hour, I'll change to minutes. So I'm multiplying this by 60. So when you do so, I will get 60 minutes. Now this guy is ready to be reduced. So we have 12 minutes is to 60 minutes. So we can reduce this. Minute will cancel minutes. 12 will go here once and 12 will go here 5 times. So your answer will be 1 is to 5. Let's look at question 24. Question 24 says solve the equation 10y minus 7 is equal to 27. 10y minus 7 is equal to 27. So I have 10y minus 7 equals 27. So the mission, if you're asked to solve, they want you to find the value of y. So eventually you're going to get y is equal to something. So, but to make y to stand alone, we have to eliminate minus 7 as well as 10 from the left hand side so that y can stand all by itself. And the technique we use is by using the inverse of whatever sign or whatever relationship the number to be eliminated is having with the variable in question. So the number here, the first number to be eliminated will be minus 7, and what I'm going to do is to add 7 to both sides. And when I do so, that 7 on the left will disappear and it would reappear on the right as a plus 7 because I added 7 to both sides. Remember, if I add the 7 to the left hand side, it becomes minus 7 plus 7, and that will reduce to 0, and that's why I said it disappeared. The next problem now is that when I add this, I'll now still be having 10 as a problem as to why y is not standing all by itself. But first, this is going to be equal to 34. So to do that, I have to understand the relationship between 10 and y, and that relationship is multiplication. So I use the inverse of multiplication, which is division, to eliminate 10. No wonder I'm going to divide both sides by 10. So I'll divide both sides by 10. Another way to see this is by seeing it that you're dividing both sides by the coefficients of y, which is 10. So we reduce this, 10 will go there to leave out y, and that should be equal to, well, this should be 3.4. If you do this, this is going to give you 3.4, or it gives you 3 whole number, 4 over 10. Be careful, you still have this fraction in this mixed number, can be reduced further, right? So we can do 2 here to 2 there, 5. So your final answer will be 3 whole number 2 over 5. So your correct option will be option C. Question 25 says, find the area of a circle whose radius is 7 centimeters. Take pi to be equal to 22 over 7. So the formula for finding the area of a circle is actually equal to pi r squared. And it is this formula that makes me know that I would need my radius and my pi to be able to calculate the area of the circle. And fortunately, we have these values, so we just put them in there. Pi is 22 over 7 times r squared will be times 7 squared. 7 squared is 7 times 7. So we can reduce this further by doing 7 here 1, 7 here 1. So we have 22 times 7. If you quickly do that somewhere there, you're going to get 14. Another 14 plus that 1 is 15. So we have 154 as your answer. We go to the next one. Question 26. It says, calculate the area of a triangle whose height is 8 centimeters and base is 6 centimeters. Well, without even being told, if you can just recall what the area of the triangle is, we know it is half times base of the triangle times the height of the triangle, and this will be equal to 1 over 2 times the base, which is 6 centimeters. This is the base, and this here is the height, which is times 8. So we do 2 here 1, 2 here 3, and then we have 3 times 8 to be 24 centimeters. That was a very cheap question. 24 centimeters squared. So your answer here will be option C. Let's go to question 27. Question 27 says, in the diagram below, find the value of y. By looking at this triangle, the first thing that will come to your mind is that this looks like a right angle triangle. As a matter of fact, they ought to have told us somewhere in the question, or by way of sign, that this is a right angle triangle, but then we're assuming that it's a right angle triangle to be able to solve this question. Now to solve this question, we have the hypotenuse side of the right angle triangle. That hypotenuse side is this side right here. It's 13. And the other two legs are y and 12. So, and according to Pythagoras theorem, the statement says that the longest side, which is the hypotenuse side, the square of that side, if you find the square of 13, it should be equal to the sum of the squares of the other sides of the other legs. So the other sides are actually y plus 12, but that's the sum of the other sides, but then the squares of them, the squares of these other sides. This is actually what it is. So now to find y would be equal to 13 squared minus 12 squared. So this means that 13 squared, which we know already to be 169, you're going to subtract 12 squared from it, which is 144. That will give you y. So here I think my y will come out now. No, that will give you y squared. All of these squared here should not be taken away for now. So we have 169 minus 144 will give you 25. And now we can take the square roots of both sides. And when you take square roots of both sides, the square on the left hand side will cancel out and the square will become a square root on the right hand side. And then you have y is now equal to the square root of 25, which is 5, positive square root, which is 5. So your answer there is going to be 5 centimeters. The correct one is option A. Question 28. It says, find the value of t in the equation 3t minus 5 is equal to t plus 15. We've done a question similar to this earlier. So we have 3t minus 5 is equal to t plus 15. So we need to rearrange this to collect like terms. So I'm collecting like terms here. That's what this CLT stands for. So when I collect like terms, it's going to be 3t. I'm bringing the t from the right to the left. Actually, what I'm doing is I'm eliminating it from the right and then it reappears on the left, because by eliminating it on the right, I have to subtract t from both sides. So I've already subtracted it from this side, let it be this, and then subtracting it from the right hand side would make it disappear from there. So we have that'll be equal to, I am doing this on purpose because I'm intending to move minus 5 out of there as well. So to remove minus 5 from the left hand side, I have to remove this minus 5 from the left hand side, I have to add 5 to both sides. So I'm adding 5 to both. So that's how you eliminate numbers. You use the signs to eliminate them. Whatever relationship they are having with the variable in question, use the opposite sign to eliminate them. So if it is minus 5 that I have on the left hand side, I will be using plus 5 on both sides to eliminate it. So, and by doing so, it will disappear from the left hand side and then reappear on the right hand side. But by the time it gets to the right, it will not see t there anymore. T is already on the left hand side. It will see 15. It will meet 15 there. It will meet 15 right there, but then it on its own will be here. So we've added 5 to both sides, and then this is what we have. 3t minus t will give you 2t. It's like saying 3t minus 1t. That should give you 2t, and 2t is now equal to 15 plus 5, which will be 20. So eventually you're going to now divide both sides by 2, which is the coefficient of t. So we have 20 over 2. 2 here, 1, 2 here, 1. T is now equal to 10. So that's the option there, option D. Question 29. It says solve. Here again they said solve. Anytime they say solve, it means that you're going to get a single value for the variable. So you're going to be having n is equal to something. That's what they want to see. So how do we work with this? How do we work this out? We have 2n minus 1 over 4 is equal to 0. So, and when you look at this, sometimes it becomes confusing as to what to do next. But you should remember that here, if you can think of these as fractions, then it becomes easier So because then we can do cross multiplication. So how do we make 0 a fraction? Just do over 1 so that it looks neat. So and then we can do cross multiplication here to now give you what you're meant to do. So we have 2n minus 1 as the numerator of this fraction on the left hand side of the equality sign. We would have 2n minus 1. Because anything multiplied by 1 is still the same thing. So that will be equal to 4 times 0. Let me just write it there, but we know the answer is supposed to be 0. So here we have 2n minus 1 is equal to 0. So it's time now to eliminate minus 1 from the left hand side. And how do we eliminate minus 1? The way we do so is to add minus 1 to both sides. And sometimes you may be wondering why I have to always add to both sides all the time. Anytime I'm trying to eliminate someone, or I'm trying to eliminate a term or a number from one side of the equation, I do what I do to both sides of the equation. The reason is because you have to maintain the balance. The equality sign there tells you that everything on the left is the same as everything on the right. So if I on my own, in the bid to try to eliminate a number from one side, I now happen to introduce a number a number I introduced by myself into the equation, I have to introduce that same number to the other side so I don't upset the balance. That's the reason I do the same thing to both sides. So right now I need to add 1 to both sides because minus 1 is a problem. So I need to add 1 to both sides. So adding 1 to both sides will eliminate this minus 1 from the left hand side, and it will make that minus 1 to reappear on the right hand side. So now we have 2n is equal to 1. So it will be to divide n by 2 because 2 eliminating 2 will make n to stand alone, and when we do that, our final answer will be n is equal to 1 over 2. So and that option is option D. Question 30. It says find the value of x in the equation. This is yet another equation. So we have 5x minus 3 is equal to 2x plus 12. So I would collect like terms. That's the first thing I do here because I noticed that 5x is same term as is a like term with 2x. And then I have another version of like term with numbers without x. So I'm eliminating 2x from the right. I can actually eliminate 5x on the left, but I prefer to eliminate 2x from the right. And the way we do that is subtract 2x from both sides. And when I do so, 5x would welcome 2x because I'm subtracting 2x from both sides. Mind you, I'm also going to take minus 3 out of there, but the way to eliminate minus 3 from the left is to add 3 to both sides. So I'm adding 3 to both sides, so 12 will already be on the right hand side, and when I add 3 to both sides, the 3 will cancel the minus 3 on the left and appear on the right as an addition to 12. So 5x minus 2x will give you 3x, and this should be equal to 15. So this would now be, of course, 3x equals 15. What do you multiply by 3 to give you 15? We know that should be 5, but how is it done? 3x is now going to be divided by the coefficient of x, which is 3. And this will cancel out, and the answer will be x is equal to 5. So x here is equal to 5, and that's option C. Question 31. Question 31 says the area of a square field is 100 meters squared. What is the perimeter of the field? The approach here is to start with the question you are asked. You are asked to find the perimeter of the field. And that means that I have to recall what the formula for perimeter is, and the formula for perimeter is actually for a square, because that's another point you are expected to note here. This is a square field, so which means the perimeter will be 2L plus 2L. So perimeter will be 2L plus 2L. Since there's no width, not like there's no width, it's just that they're all of the same length. So I'm going to be having perimeter to be equal to 4L, or 4 times L. Now that is very important. I know this is what I need. So which means if I knew what my length was, I can find the perimeter easily by multiplying that length by 4, because perimeter is the distance around the square field. But right now the question did not give me anything about the length. Rather, the question gave me something about the area. So it says the area of a square field is 100 meters squared. So this will help me to find the length. Sorry, I have to recall the formula for finding the area of a square. And the formula for finding the area of the square is A is equal to L times L, which is same thing as L squared. So I know that the area was already given to be 100. I put my 100 there in place of A. That should be equal to L squared. And already I've told you how to eliminate squares. We introduce square roots. So by introducing square roots to both sides, let me even show you what happens there. So this is 100 and this one here is L squared. So this here will cancel out. This squared will cancel the square root sign. That's actually what happens. Don't ask me why. At this stage, it is okay to know that this will happen. I shouldn't even be showing you this. So this is L is equal to, now square root of 100 will be 10. So this is L is equal to 10. Now we know the length is equal to 10. Mind you, if you look at this, you will see that there is 10 as part of the option. And if you're not careful, you will choose that as your answer. So let's go back to the question and know what exactly we're asked to find. We're asked to find the perimeter of the field, not the length of the field. The only reason why we went in search of the length was because that was how to find the perimeter. We needed the length to multiply that length by 4 to find the perimeter, which was why we went in search of the length in the first place. So now we have the length. We can now do perimeter is equal to 4 times the length, which is now 10, and your answer will be 40 meters. So this is going to be option D. This is wrong. Question 32 says we should find the area of the shaded portion in the diagram below. The diagram is not drawn to scale, so that's the diagram there. So if we're looking for the area of this shaded portion, I would advise that you think of this as a piece of cake, and with that piece of cake you have this center that has been cut out of the piece of cake. And if you're cutting something out of something, it means you're taking that away from the original thing. So the original thing is the entire rectangle, which has the dimension 4 centimeters by 8 centimeters. But then there is this other smaller rectangle that was cut out of this cake, and that area is 3 by 2. So the dimension is 3 by 2. So what I'm going to do is that the big rectangle, I'm going to subtract the small rectangle from the big rectangle. So the bigger rectangle is 4 times 8, because length times breadth is the area. So area is equal to length times breadth. So I did the length times breadth there to find the area of the bigger rectangle. Subtract the smaller rectangle from that. That would be 2 times 3. And then you have 4 times 8 to give you 32. And then you have 2 times 3 to give you 6. So that will be 32 minus 6. Your answer there will be 26. This will be 26 centimeters squared. So that will be the answer here. Question 33. It says a girl is 12 years old now. A girl is 12 years old now. What was her age X years ago? Well, any number of years ago, you have to take it away from 12 because that's what she is right now. So it will be 12 minus X. That's for this one, it's 12 minus X. Question 34 says 7x minus 5 is equal to 2. So we have 7x minus 5 is equal to 2. So we know minus 5 is a problem on the left because we want x to be on one side and all alone by itself. And the reason I know I'm solving for x is because they said solve. Anytime they say solve, it means your variable must amount to something, must be equal to a number. So let's do that. So we have x. Okay, now I'm eliminating minus 5 from both sides. That means I'm adding 5 to both sides. So by adding 5 to both sides, this is what is going to happen. Let me try to show you all what I've been saying all this while. You add 5 to both sides, it becomes plus 5 there and plus 5 there. And the way this works is that this minus 5 cancels this plus 5, making sure that the 5 has been eliminated from the left hand side. And then somehow the 5 reappears on the right to become this. So we have 7x now is equal to 7. So the next move here now is to eliminate 7 now, which is now holding x back, is making x not stand alone. And the way to do that is by considering the relationship between x and 7. And the relationship is multiplication. So what I do is I divide that 7x by 7. Actually, I'm dividing both sides by 7. So when I divide both sides by 7, I'm going to be having 7 here 1, 7 here 1. So we have this is equal to 1. So your x is equal to 1. That's the value. So the option is B. Question 35. It says in an examination, a boy spent X minutes part A, and I think that meant to I think what that meant was a boy spent X minutes in part A and 15 minutes in part B. How many minutes did he use for the whole examination? Well, it's got to be how much time is spent in A, add that to how much time is spent in B, and that will be the answer. So A was A was X and B was 15 minutes, so it's X plus 15 or 15 plus X. You don't need to solve anything there. Question 36. Question 36 says find the perimeter of a circle of radius 7 centimeters. So perimeter, again, if you recall, is supposed to be P is equal to okay, for a circle, well, that means it's the circumference of the circle, which will be 2 pi r. So that will be equal to 2 times pi. Pi we're told to be 22/7, and r we're told that r is equal to 7. So this could easily cross out, and then your answer will be 2 times 22 to give you 44 centimeters. So that will be option C. Question 37. Question 37 says a car uses 10 liters of fuel for a journey of 40 kilometers on the average. What distance will 25 liters cover with the same car and same speed? Well, this is proportion. It's basically proportion. So here we have number of liters of fuel used and the distance traveled. And for the first sentence there, it says that 10 liters will deliver 40 kilometers. In other words, 10 liters of fuel would, the car would be able to travel 40 kilometers with 10 liters of fuel. And if you now increase this to 25 liters, imagine what that would be. You should expect more, right? Now I'm expecting that the distance covered should be more. And because I'm expecting more, I'm going to rearrange, you see these two quantities? I'll rearrange them to give me something greater than 1, because that's the way I can expect more. So give me something greater than 1, and that will be 25/10, not 10/25. So if I multiply that by 40, I'm definitely going to get something greater than 40. So my expectation is a very important aspect of proportion. So we have, and you can't have the right expectation if you don't apply common sense. So we have this is now, this will be 4 times 25 will give you 100. So a distance of 100 kilometers will be covered with 25 liters of fuel. 38. Question 38 says, a square has how many lines of symmetry? Well, a square should be having 4 lines of symmetry. Let's find out. A line of symmetry will be any imaginary line that you can draw across a shape, a 2D shape especially, and both halves will look like mirror images. So I can cut this way, they will look alike. I can cut this way, 2, they still look alike. Cut this way, 3. Oh, that didn't go. That didn't go exactly as I planned it to. And they will still look alike, right? Mirror images of each other. It's a square, right? And then I can cut this way as well, and they still look alike. So we need 4 lines of symmetry. Question 39 says, the marks scored in a test by 10 pupils are as follows. So we have 15, 14, 15, 13, 16, 16, 17, 13, 16, and 17. Find the modal mark. Well, modal, the way modal was used here, some students get confused by the usage of this word. This word is actually the adjective that describes the word mode. Actually, as a matter of fact, it's the adjective of the word mode, if I could use that word. So mode is the number in the data that occurred most frequently, the most frequently occurring number. So, and if you look at this by just inspecting this, I think 16, yeah, 16 seems to be the number that occurred most frequently here, don't you think? I think it's 16. So we have 16, so we'll choose this as our option. Just a quick look again at it. This is 15. Sometimes what you should do here is to just rearrange these numbers according to their in ascending order. When you do so, it will be clear who is with who and who is more than 1 or more than 2. So, but I'm just doing this by inspection because I believe this can be done by inspection. 16 and 16. So 17 is just 2, 13 is also 2, 14 is 1, and 15 is 2. So the modal mark is 16. Question 40 says, and I think this is the last question. It says the average of 6, 10, x, 20, and 30 is 18. You see, when you read a question like this and the sentence says the average is, in math we can interpret all of these things so easily as equal to. The is means equal to. The average there means normal average, and we know that average is equal to the sum of the items over the number of items. So if I use that formula, then I'll be having average is equal to sum of items over the number of items. Let's use number of items. Now, from the question, they said the average of all these numbers, which means all these numbers I have to add them because I need the sum of those numbers. So that'll be 6 plus 10 plus x plus 20 then plus 30. That's the sum of the numbers. Everything divided by the head counts of each of the numbers. So there are 5 numbers there, head counts 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 numbers there. I write my 5 below because that's the position. But they said the average, which is sum over number, is 18. So 18 is equal to all of that. So you see that we have ourselves now a rather scary looking fraction on the right hand side. So we can reduce that. We can reduce it by adding all these numbers. Let's add all these numbers together because we could do that. So we have 10 plus 20 plus 30 will give you 60. 60 plus 6 will give you 66. So we have 66 on top, and then we still have 5 below. Don't forget that there's an x on top as well. So we have 66 plus x over 5. and then we can cross multiply it by thinking of this 18 as 18 over 1. And when we do that, we have 18 times 5. That will be equal to 1 times 66 plus x. So 18 times 5 will give you 90. And that should be equal to 66 plus x. And right now, x cannot stand alone because they said we should find the value of x. Because 66 is there, we can't do that. So the way we eliminate 66 is by subtracting 66 from both sides. And when we subtract 66 from both sides, we get 90 minus 66 is equal to 66 plus x minus 66. That's how we subtract the 66 from both sides. And the reason is to eliminate it from the right hand side. And why both sides? Because this is an equation, and anything you do on the left, you should do as well on the right. You should do as well on the right, so that you don't offset the balance. It was already balanced, so if you introduce anything, you have to introduce the same thing on the other side. So here we have 90 minus 66. Our answer is going to be 24. So 24 is equal to x. And that's going to be our option right there. And I believe that this will help someone out there. And thank you for watching. But then I hope this helps. Thank you for watching once again. And until I meet you in the next video, have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye-bye.